Less than a week till the Iowa caucuses and Donald Trump scoring another high-profile endorsement, and this one from an unlikely source. Then the rags to riches, then rags again story of Atlantic City. How can it have fallen so far so quickly from its glory days, and what is the state going to do about it? Also, the guy who runs the Ultimate Fighting Championship, he is here visiting Albany, trying to convince lawmakers here to legalize mixed martial arts in New York. We'll ask him if he thinks it's finally high time they won that fight. Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. We are now just 6 days away from those Iowa caucuses, and Donald Trump is leading in yet another poll. White evangelicals, again, white evangelicals, they're choosing Trump over Ted Cruz and the rest of the field, and him over Cruz by nearly 2-to-1 margin. Now think about that for a second. The twice divorced New York City billionaire, who I defy you knows even which end of the church to walk in on, is topping the pastor's son among evangelicals, just evangelicals. And that's not all. Liberty University's president, Jerry Falwell, yeah, that guy, he endorsed the Donald today. And Trump also scored an endorsement from Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County, Arizona. He's known, or maybe self-titled, as America's toughest sheriff. That, among other things, for his tough stance on illegal immigration. But Trump certainly isn't taking the good news in stride, not mellowing at all. He is down once again on Megyn Kelly. As you remember, Megyn Kelly, the moderator of the first debate that drew his ire, he's threatening to pull out of Fox's debate this coming Thursday, saying that she doesn't treat him fairly and he doesn't like her. No, he didn't then suck his thumb. He says that he's not sure yet if he will participate in the debate if, in fact, she stays on as a moderator. So the question among many is he going to lose more here or not by going after one of not only Fox's golden girl, but one of the favorite conservatives' voices that are out there? Let's bring in our panel right now. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Jessica Proud, Republican strategist. No, that's not Jessica. There she is. And PR expert with the November team. And Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. All right, I've thrown out all logic out the window. Can't make any more sense out of this whatsoever. I would have said picking a fight with Megyn Kelly was crazy, but wait a second. Before we even get to the debate, in what parallel universe have we gone into where Trump, who I forget what he tried to quote from a biblical verse, but he said number 2, right, or whatever?
Yeah, the 2 Corinthians.
Exactly, yeah, 2 Corinthians. How do evangelicals not only support him, but Jerry Falwell, forget that he thinks end of days are coming any day now, but how do they wrap their arms around Donald Trump, a guy who not long ago was pro-choice, pro-gun control, treated, biblical verses as like comic book strips? How do the evangelicals and Falwell wrap their arms around Donald Trump?
I don't know the answer to that. They're clearly not putting their religious issues at the top of their spectrum in terms of how they're going to cast their vote. One thing I do think is interesting, while they've always played a huge role in the Iowa caucuses, they make up, I think, about 50%. That number has been going down steadily, so it will be interesting to see how much of a role they do play in being the deciding factor in the vote.
We can't figure out, though, still, where his appeal starts and stops.
No.
I mean, you would think certainly he's marginalized certain communities that are going to take issue, Latinos among them, I can certainly think he's offended the disabled. I know certain women who took offense, not just what he said about Megyn Kelly, but so many other examples it'll take too long to offend. He certainly didn't make friends with the Sikhs just this week, making fun of the person with the turban. I can go on and on. We all know the drill here, but evangelicals, come on.
Look, we know that most of Trump's supporters in the polls they don't fit the profile of regular Iowa caucus goers. These are people who either don't attend caucuses that often or they're young and they don't have a history of going to the caucus. So there are legitimate questions about how many of them are going to turn out, especially if there's bad weather in the forecast for Monday in Iowa, which apparently there is. So it really does take more of an effort to go to a caucus than it does to a primary. Having said all that, evangelicals tend to be among the best voters in terms of going out to the polls and going to the wall. They're reliable and they're not going to waver. But I'm with you. I mean, this is an emperor wears no clothes moment for the evangelical community in Iowa, because there is no way that this guy shares your values or would even espouse those values as president evangelical
and for
community.
constituency whose values are preeminent when it comes to issues in the polls. The social positions of a candidate matter more than anything. But Dom, he now picks another fight with Fox News. A month or so ago, I said, you're nuts. You basically, poke your finger in Murdoch's eye. You're going to lose. You're not just lose with Fox News. You'll lose with Wall Street Journal types. You'll lose all across the spectrum here. But now you got right-wing radio guys from the Becks of the world and the rest. They'll throw their arms around. Arpaio, who basically lives on Fox News, he came out endorsing him today. It's amazing that the fear of inflaming Fox News isn't enough here to scare folks, because we always thought, you had to basically kiss the ring to get anywhere in the Republican Party. That's turned on its head.
It's real simple, Richard. Donald Trump is bigger than Fox News. Donald Trump, whether it's accurate or not, is perceived as a tremendous, tremendous winner. Everybody loves a winner. It's as simple as that. You can go to any subcategory that you may want to. He is perceived as the presumptive nominee, if you will, for the Republican Party. And like I've said on this program, and you guys have wondered what's in my coffee, don't write him off in the general election. Donald Trump might be the next president of the United States.
Okay. Get your passports
because
ready.
64% now said that they view him as being the eventual nominee.
Okay, now all joking aside with Trump and everything else, to me, somebody made a comment in passing to me, and pretty smart guy said, hey, you know what, in the end, how bad could it be? They're all the same when they get in there and everything else. Forget that I disagree with that point in general. Could you imagine the Cuban Missile Crisis with Donald Trump as president, or in the aftermath of 9/11, Donald Trump is president? Now, we joke aside, we talk about him talking about, making places parking lots and all the rest, and insulting people, whether it's of faith or gender or disability, whatever it is. But you have to have a certain discipline and a temperament. Diplomacy and tact aren't just things you make fun of somebody for. You actually need to do these things. To me, and Andrew made the point, imagine the aftermath of Ferguson, what he would have said, right? There's times where a president should just shut up and not get involved. He doesn't have a filter. And while everybody loves the truth talking and all the rest, I just want people to put that in context. Not that everyone's got to love every politician or whatever else, but I don't have those fears. If there was a Rubio the president, if I might disagree with him philosophically, or a Jeb Bush, or if Kasich for that matter, or whatever else. But the idea that in this highly volatile world, with so many flashpoints, that this is the kind of temperament that we all think is funny, do you think there's going to be a moment where people say, okay, the joke's gone far enough?
Well,
or is that just Republican hopeful thinking?
I mean, there's a huge wing of the party that has those same exact concerns. And that's why you hear all these people coming after him, the quote unquote establishment, as if that's such a bad thing. But there are people that have genuine concerns about his temperament. He's not a stupid guy. I mean, I would hope that if he does, by strike of lightning, win the nomination and get elected, that he would be smart enough to surround himself with people and realize that the office is bigger than any one individual, and
but
there are
many massive consequences. Completely rewrite your whole biography.
Would I
he's
want
always
to be
believed
his
he's bigger than every office.
Absolutely not. I mean, anyone
I
that
know
has
he would.
some
Yeah, enough work you'd have to do. Yeah. But look, I think that's part of the closing argument that his Republican challengers will use against him in Iowa, and you may hear that from Fox in the debate coming up this week, which may be why he went back after Megyn Kelly again today. I think that's his way of lowering expectations just a little bit, so that if he doesn't do particularly well, or if everybody gangs up on him at the debate, he can say, well, look, Megyn Kelly's been unfair to me. Look at how I told you that was going to happen. But I don't think there's any more room for the Republican candidates to hide. They need to attack Trump, and not just on policy, but also on temperament. Not so much, and a lot of them have been with kid gloves because they don't want to offend his supporters.
Well, it's too late, because a lot of the ones that did try early on, it ended up backfiring on them. Trump said it himself. He could walk down Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and his supporters would still be loyal to them. It is a very different phenomenon that's going on with him, but this is a very long race. There are going to be lots of twists and turns. I don't think that whoever wins Iowa or whoever wins New Hampshire, that it's automatically over, that they run away with
And
the
he
nomination.
also, Don, I believe, he also doesn't have the card to play, which is, the whole, I'll just tone everything down. His thing, and he's been brilliant at it, is every day he does one thing that gets everybody talking for that day. Today was Jerry Falwell after the poll came out. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow, right? And there's one thing, whether it was Palin before that or him talking about having Mexico pay for the wall that he's going to build to keep them all out here, and they'll ban the Muslims from coming in the country, all those things. He's got to keep doing that, right?
Only through the election.
Well, but that's my point.
No.
But people got to not get tired of that between now and the fall, and then now in November. And to me, I don't see how anybody can keep that up without being perceived as a sellout if you don't keep doing it,
Richard,
or if you keep doing it, burning it.
Richard, the snowball is going down the hill. And you talk about a long primary season, it may not be that long. Trump, if things go the way that he wants them to go, may wrap this up very
but
soon.
Jessica, the establishment, whoever it is, no one's going away for the very reason that we're talking about. Because they think there will be a comeuppance
but
moment.
You have to understand, he's leading in every poll, but there's still, depending on the poll you look at, whether it's 50%, 40%, 60% that want someone else, there's too many choices right now, so people cannot narrow their focus. If Rubio comes in third in Iowa, Kasich is surging in New Hampshire, depending on what happens there.
Do you think people drop out after Iowa, New Hampshire?
People will, but there will also be room for a couple candidates to hang in there if they have the money and the ground operation.
What I just wanted to say, I don't think he'll be as reckless as he is as a candidate.
But I think he has to be to have appeal.
No. I'm talking about if he gets elected. He's already shown, if you look at the last CNN interview that he did, that he will be somewhat measured. He's a cowboy, but he's not stupid. Trust me when I tell you.
He's been a cowboy his whole life.
And it's worked, so why would you do anything differently?
But when you're president, to have the
Says
goal...
Says who?
Says anybody.
Says the media. Who cares what the media thinks?
No. Every day, for any president, you go to first of all, I don't even know if he'll show up to the briefings, all right? But let's say he shows up to the briefings. Do you imagine him negotiating a fiscal collapse and what he would do and what he would say and assure and give confidence to the markets?
I don't want to give you my answer because your head may explode.
Okay.
I think
he's not as great a businessman as you make him out to be, by the way.
His showmanship might actually work in terms of some of the world negotiations, the cowboy mentality. It may actually work.
This is one scary movie.
Oh, it's extremely frightening. I want to see the last act. All right, coming up next, we will switch gears and take a look at the Democrats and when it becomes panic time for Hillary Clinton as well as the table. Would that happen if Sanders won not just New Hampshire, but Iowa too? When does this thing become not just a novelty, but again, that scary story this time for this lady?